So I'm going to Dover Air Force Base.
The House Oversight Committee is investigating why 15 boxes of presidential records belonging to former President Donald Trump were found at Trump's residence in Palm Beach, Florida, known as Mar-a-Lago. The committee wants to know whether Donald Trump violated the Presidential Records Act, which is a 1978 statute that governs how presidential records are meant to be maintained and preserved. So there is concern as to why there are these boxes of records that were found where they really weren't supposed to be. There are other issues, though. One is, according to the Washington Post, some of the records that were found were torn, were marked up, and some were apparently marked as classified at the top secret level. And the newspaper has said that the archivist has asked the Justice Department to look into whether any laws were violated. I should note that neither the FBI nor the Justice Department has given any indication or clue as to what they will or won't do with that referral. So the President of the United States is technically the ultimate classification authority, such that he could ostensibly argue, I decide what's classified and I decide what's no longer classified, and whatever documents were at Mar-a-Lago, I had declassified already. And that could be a hurdle to prosecuting him for any violation of classified records laws, to the extent that he could credibly say that none of the records at issue are classified. But there's another issue, though, which relates to the fact that there is at least anecdotal evidence that the president writ large was not so interested in the way that records were maintained. And so the idea that he may have taken the actual affirmative step of declassifying documents before he left office, that remains to be seen. That's not clear whether he actually gave any sort of order, or whether it's going to be his argument. So if this moves forward.
Talk starting this week here in Washington.
That's
How
right.
confident are you that it will be finished by March 1, or are you considering extending that deadline?
It is certainly not uncommon at all for investigations to involve the mishandling of classified information, including government officials. Everyone, of course, remembers the investigation from 2015 and 2016 into former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and her use of a private email server. That investigation unfolded as she was running for president, and it looked at whether she had knowingly sent or received classified information that was classified at the time it was sent or received. The FBI found that she did, but didn't prosecute her because they said there was no indication that she intended to break any law. And we have no indication yet whether the FBI will conduct its own investigation here. We don't have any indication as to whether it would be the president who was the actual physical person who transported the documents or anything like that.
Worked very hard on the Space Force. They all believe in it very strongly, as I do. It's the future. It's where we're going.
We don't know what's going to happen next. There is no commitment or obligation by the Justice Department, if it receives a request from someone else to investigate something, to actually investigate it. So there's no binding obligation on the department to take up a request from the archivist. However, it is certainly possible that the FBI might feel compelled to follow the facts and see where they lead, and look at what they're dealing with here.